Unless you are part of the very upper end of the K-shaped economy, you are feeling the squeeze right now. You're watching your earnings get eaten by inflation while housing prices continue to melt faces. So there's this economist over in Great Britain named Gary Stevenson that calls this the great squeeze out. So in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to quickly break down the 5 stages of this squeeze out, where we are in the squeeze out, and show you the exit ramp that didn't exist in previous generations and something that he doesn't even talk about. So after watching this video, you'll understand the real risks to your FIRE timeline and why even a small Bitcoin position creates the only real safety buffer available. Special thank you to Bitbox Hardware Wallets for sponsoring this video. I'll talk about them at the end of the video. And please stay to the end because I want to address the futility of accumulating small amounts of Bitcoin argument that so many of you guys like to make in the comments. So who's Gary Stevenson and why should I even care? So he is a former city trader who became Britain's celebrity economist. He's basically like a Wall Street, sort of like a Wall Street insider turned activist. He bet on inequality during the 2008 great financial crisis, made millions, and then realized what his profit meant for ordinary families. So he sort of had a crisis of conscience, if you will. So he's calling for government to tax wealth instead of taxing labor. So tax wealth, not work, is sort of the rallying cry of these guys. Now, I'm just going to say, I don't necessarily agree with this. I agree with the problem, which I'll unpack in this video. I don't necessarily agree with the solution, but I think he does a great job of, identifying the problem in the way that especially those of us who are FIRE adherents and Bitcoin enthusiasts can understand. But here's the question. Is his diagnosis accurate or just one economist's take on a hyper-complex system? So let's talk about the 5 stages briefly. So stages 1 and 2 would be false prosperity to credit collapse. And this will resonate with you if you were around during the great financial crisis. Gary argues that because of how the system is designed, labor being taxed at roughly 2 times of capital, the uber wealthy continue to accumulate capital and the prices of assets increase tremendously. So if you actually own any assets, like if you own a house, you might feel wealthier, but might be put into a position at some point where you need to start using your home's equity to leverage it for cash to maintain your lifestyle. This happened to a lot of people during the great financial crisis. Kind of like using a HELOC, which I have my own story with a HELOC. I won't go into that here. The system stops lending. Everything freezes up, just like it did in 2008, triggering localized recessions and, or you could argue, a depression. So this is the real pivot point. If you don't hold assets like the uber wealthy hold assets, your wages, or i.e. the purchasing power of the currency you're compensated in, decreases in value very quickly. And we've seen this especially since 2020, since the, like George Gammon talks about, the cerveza sickness. So when families exhaust themselves, when they exhaust their savings, does anyone step in or does the government get trapped also? So this is another argument that he basically makes. By the way, if you're getting value out of this, I'd appreciate it if you would crush the like button, maybe subscribe to the channel. So moving into stages 3 and 4, this is the government debt trap and then austerity 2.0. So let's unpack those real quick. Governments borrow from concentrated capital pools and print currency to support living standards, basically, of the population, is what he's arguing. They eventually run out of fiscal capacity, forcing service cuts, school closures, transit shrinks, healthcare waits lengthen, and this is basically what is called economic austerity. So if your financial independence plan relies on a collapsing currency, your savings will only continue to lose purchasing power, and traditional frugality, which is a big part of the FIRE movement, alone will riptide you out to sea without a life jacket. So stage 5 buttresses why you need an alternative to waiting for government fixes. So let's talk about stage 5, and then I want to address real quick this nihilism trap, which I talked about at the beginning of the video. So eventually, no weak hands remain to squeeze. The government doesn't have any more middle class or poor people that they can basically squeeze out. So wage earners get taxed on their wages is basically the argument that he's making, which is reality. And the assets just continue to concentrate. The only growth paths left involved conflict over resources, okay? And then the nihilistic naysayers, which there are lots of you guys in the comments, I totally get that, say that, hey, why would I accumulate such a small amount of Bitcoin, 0.1 Bitcoin or 0.21 Bitcoin or 0.01 Bitcoin, because, that's not going to buy me a house. I'm not going to be able to retire on that. So why would I even bother? Okay. So I would say, and I've been in Bitcoin for 13 plus years now, this mindset is incredibly myopic. People are typically looking at the last 6 months or the last 3 months or the last week. They're not thinking about this asset class over the course of decades. If you look at basically between 2009 and, where we are now, Bitcoin has been the best performing asset class over the last decade for sure. So it's incredibly myopic to look at this way and keeps you in the bleeding fiat system while inflation eats everything you're laboring so hard for. Now, I understand we live in a fiat world. I definitely recommend and talk to my private clients through the process of making sure that you have an emergency fund in fiat, because we still live in a fiat world. So this Bitcoin personal finance is really a nut that we're sort of trying to crack together. How much Bitcoin do I need? How much fiat do I need? What is a good balance to sort of live on? You don't need 0.21 Bitcoin to be rich. You need it to be safe. So it's the minimum, I would argue, the minimum viable quantity for a high degree of financial sovereignty, creating a hard floor under your net worth, regardless of dollar devaluation. So this is not necessarily, I'm going to be super rich. I'm going to, and you might be, we don't know. We don't know what the value of Bitcoin is going to be in 10 years. We can see from the way the system is sort of, doing its thing. It should be worth, quite a bit inside of 10 years. But sadly, most of the middle class has this, and I've seen this in my coaching practice, has this get rich quick gambling type of mindset, especially when it comes to Bitcoin, or especially when it comes to investing in general. So it's not about getting rich. You have to kind of get that out of your mind. It's about preserving the long-term purchasing power of your years of toil. And again, I can see the comments, well, Bitcoin's down, it's over, we're in a bear market right now. Yeah, nothing new under the sun. I've seen this. This is probably my 5th bear market that I've been through. I've seen 85% drawdowns. So a 50% drawdown is really actually a good sign in the longer arc of history. So, but this is the next question that people will ask, or the next objection that people will raise. But isn't volatility too risky for such a small allocation? So volatility is something that cuts both ways, okay? So you have your dollar, which is not volatile, but loses its value very rapidly. Then you have Bitcoin, which is a highly volatile asset class, which you're going to benefit over the course of time from that volatility. The certain of fiat loss over a decade outweighs the upside risk of holding Bitcoin long term, even a sliver of it. So don't wait for enough is sort of the mantra with this. So, by the way, I cover these topics more in depth in my micro newsletter, which I publish a couple of times a week. Just type micro in the comments if you like access to that. So I believe, Stevenson is right. The system squeezes those playing by the old rules, which is the poor and the middle class, wage earners. Like, the system is set up basically to harvest our purchasing power, our labor, so that's the way the system is set up. But I think he's missing the key piece, that you can now opt out of the currency entirely or almost entirely. So, but just knowing the threat doesn't tell you how much to buy, when to buy it, or how to protect yourself legally and technically while building your stack. That's why I created the 10-year Bitcoin FIRE roadmap. It breaks down the exact monthly schedule for millennials versus Gen X to hit the critical 0.21 Bitcoin buffer, plus the security setup that you're going to need. But keep this in mind, your salary negotiations, side hustles, job equity are often more powerful drivers of wealth than any specific stock pick or any specific, asset class that you're in outside of Bitcoin, I would argue. So I would encourage you to watch this video next. How much Bitcoin do I need to retire by 2036? The calculation formula, I'll leave a link in the video description below and a card above. And by the way, one of the things that I do on this platform is I offer one-to-one coaching calls. So if you are struggling with where you are on the continuum of this, or you just want to talk to another Bitcoiner, link is in the video description below for that, and I'll see you in the next video. Real quick, you guys know I talk about the importance of self-custody all the time. And I know a lot of you guys are totally overwhelmed by it. That's why I love our channel sponsor, Bitbox Hardware Wallets. If you want one of the most secure cold storage Bitcoin wallets that's also super user-friendly, the Bitbox O2 Nova is for you. When I'm recommending hardware wallets to my audience, they must have two criteria: Bitcoin only as an option, and then also they must have fully open source and auditable source code. The Bitbox meets both of these criteria and is the ultimate self-sovereignty tool. You can think of it as a Swiss vault for your Bitcoin private keys. It's USB-C and literally works with everything: Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and Android. It has an easy-to-read tempered glass display and Swiss bank vault levels of security. This is one of my favorite Bitcoin wallets in my 13 plus years in the Bitcoin industry. And guess what? If you click on the link in the description, you can use the code BRAD for 5% off. That's right, 5% off if you use the code BRAD. This is the perfect gift if you want to encourage your friends and family into holding their Bitcoin private keys and sovereign self-custody. The link is in the description below. Buy a Bitbox O2 Nova today unless you want to lose all your Bitcoin to the banksters.